Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This year at the ATX Television Festival, I sat down with Greg Iwinski and Jim Fagan, two sharp comedy minds who've worked everywhere from Last Week Tonight to Young Jedi Adventures. We talked about writing for kids and adults, navigating comedy in today's news landscape, and yes, even the Knicks. Let's get to it.
Like 300 people, but here's the thing. This is the thing about the Knicks is if the Knicks lose, in my mind, it's like it was 4-2. They put in a good fight.
No.
They lost game one by a thread.
Stop.
So then it
Jim
would have been
disagrees.
3-3. Well, it's like, you know what? Okay. It's like, they didn't get swept. They didn't get gentlemen swept. That's fine. But if they win, the next 2 days of life in New York City are going to be
So much fun.
so tense. So like, is it happen? So like, just like it's going to be like this straight for like 2 days, and then when the game, it's just like if they lose a game 7, I'm a little worried.
My mentality about this is that the ride is really fun and I don't want to get off. Each game I want one more game.
You also
on the
live
ride.
you live very far from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, but
I do not.
Yeah, on purpose.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, I'm like, if I'm imagining the crowd, and then I'm like, if they win a game 7, it's going off.
Yep.
If they lose a game 7, it might also go off.
No, they'll
This
just be
is the Philly
sad.
rules.
Like when
yeah.
what was that Edmonton? Who was it? That Canadian hockey team that lost the Vancouver Riots when they lost Game 7 and they tore the city apart.
Knicks fans are unhinged, but we're not Canadian hockey fan unhinged. Let's be fair.
I just need to grab a water.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay.
I've been talking for 3 days.
Was that it? Did we give you everything that you
I
need?
think we're
Yeah,
good.
great.
We're
Perfect.
covered. I'm Les from the TV Dudes. Y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Greg Iwinski.
I'm Jim Fagan.
And so I'm thrilled to talk to y'all because Greg, everybody loves John Oliver. I love Last Week Tonight. I also have to occasionally take breaks from watching it because there's just something about seeing all the problems, having a smart person outline a pretty clear solution, and then thinking to yourself, but what if we just don't do it? And like, it just kills me. So like, no, man, our problems are solvable. Like some of this is just duh. But what if we just don't? And like that always fascinates me how you put together a writer's room where I know the tendency is to go for the most vicious joke. Like you want the funniest joke and then maybe back it off to where you can get it. But how do you do that in a topical comedy room where there's a cynicism cliff, I would think, of like, this isn't funny anymore. I'm just mad and bitter.
I mean, I think that all of late night has dealt with that over the last 5 years, and I think particularly in this administration, realizing we're going back down into something, there's a real test of like how bad can it get, and can you still make jokes about it? And for a long time, people just solved that by making jokes about things that were not about the bad stuff. So, but I think everyone's adapted and come up with their own kind of, styles or adaptations or impressions or whatever they focus on. But no, it certainly is a test. I think more than it's been before, because, when you're like joking about Gerald Ford falling down the stairs or whatever, like, or Clinton, like, this isn't such a different magnitude that, yeah, it's certainly challenging.
Jim, I have your job description here, a Swiss Army knife. Can you talk a little bit about working together, y'all's writing partnership, but what you feel is your role in a working relationship?
Yeah, well, we've been going through the industry together, but on parallel paths. We haven't been on an official show together. So I wrote for The Tonight Show, Greg at Last Week Tonight, and Colbert. But we connected over our nerdy love of Star Wars. We talked about that stuff, and that what ends up happening is before we jump on to record our Star Wars stuff podcast each week, we're talking about the industry, we're hanging out, and it grows from there. I joked that I tried to be Swiss Army knife for Greg for this show that we did here, this late night show, because I direct, I write, I produce, and so I'm happy and excited to be the guy who's like, oh, I can try to do that, and I can try to solve that. Yeah, it's fun.
I was one of the few criticisms that I ever have about this fest is that outside of adult animation, there's just not a lot of animated programming, because it really shocked me that we have Andor, but we don't have the other Star Wars show. But not only do we not have a Skeleton Crew thing, but there's not a Young Jedi Chronicles thing. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship to Star Wars at large? There seems to be more breadth to Star Wars than there was when I was a kid. Now people have Andor, people have Skeleton Crew, people have various things they love about it. Where did you think, when you got that gig, where did you want to place yourselves in the Star Wars world?
I think there's the cool thing about Star Wars is that it is, at this point, in my opinion, kind of like American mythology. It's been around 50 years. We all know the characters, the archetypes, the same way that you might be like, I'm going to tell a story about characters from ancient Greece. You can tell stories about Star Wars in any place and time and era. And I am the kind of fan who just absorbs it all as if it's history, right? Like I every book that comes out, I read it. I read the comics. I watch the shows. Like I just ingest it. And we talk about it a lot on Yub Nub is like, we watch Star Wars because it's Star Wars. It's not really like, oh, this show looks good. And it's like, oh, it's Star Wars. And that's the place that I like knowing about. So you just pull all of it in. And there is a lot more. There's more branching out and things like that. And for me, it was just the chance of getting to do a canon show was how in the world could I say no to that? And it was really fun. Fun to create characters. Also knowing that the way that Star Wars works, when A New Hope was made, there was no understanding that there'd be a show about the guy who helped get the plans to the ship.
Right.
You didn't. And so in this, it's like, we got Young Jedi. Yes, they're 8-year-old kids. Yes, it's a show for children, but they all will grow up and do something and go somewhere. And maybe 10 years from now, someone who is not from the staff of our show will end up writing a story about Kai Brightstar doing an adventure as an adult. And that's so cool to have kind of seeded those pieces into the world.
Yeah, I mean, there's always pressure when you're writing something to, you want to make your character, you want to do good by your characters or make the story work or whatever. I can't imagine the added pressure of knowing that, good or bad, anything you leave laying back there is now fair game 20 years from now to become the centerpiece of with you cringing going, fuck, I wish we'd written more on that.
Well, I think to me, it's more like what I love about our show. We had a great showrunner, Mike Olson, and is that the characters that we made are so well defined, and you know who they are, and they know who they are. So even though they're these kids that are the reason they can teach lessons and inspire other kids is because they're like, I'm this. I know how I work, and I'm learning, and I'm growing. And so I think what we did was kind of narrowed the zone of possible movement, where when they grow up, you kind of know who they are and the path they're on.
I heard Julie Plex say earlier in the fest that when she's writing kids, she tries to write them as adults, and when she's writing parents in a show, she tries to write them as unruly kids.
I love that.
That it clicks better.
That's great.
It just always sticks with me whenever I see a kid show now, because I always think the same thing of like, I wish I was that solid in my identity at 8 or 9 or 10, or,
Right.
Well, and I think it's important too that, I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old.
That'd probably be unbearable now.
I have people who watch the show in my house. So it was, like having that ability to understand. But
some honest feedback.
I also think that, and they love it so much. But it is great to write kids who, I think in the way that kids do, they take the world as much as they've seen it. So I think that's the thing you forget about when you're a kid, which is like, if you've only been here 6 years, the number of experiences you've had is so much smaller. So you're resting on what you've been told and what you believe in those things as a kid. So I think when you write an authentic kid too, it's you're writing someone who is, they're confident, but they're constantly being exposed to more things that go, oh, there's always more information. So I need to act like this. Oh, but then in this situation, that means even if it's something as big as like, well, I can jump over this thing. Well, I can't jump over this thing if it's also snowstorming. You just keep watching them continue to learn by adding to their experiences.
In terms of the late night show last night, what was y'all's favorite moment?
The end, because then I was done.
Just nerve-wracking?
No, it was the whole thing. It was so fun. I mean, that was an incredible crowd. People were very nice, and I had a great time.
We have a segment. We've done the show a couple times in New York, and we have a segment called Roast Your Congressperson, where it's really. Did you come up with it? It's really,
yes.
It's a very smart segment where at the beginning of the show, Greg gets who's from out of town and who's got a congressperson that they are not a fan of. It's not hard to find either side of the aisle somebody who doesn't like their congressperson. So, and then basically we hand that congressperson off to talented writers who, for an hour, just jam on jokes about that person. But we've done that for small rooms. And then last night we had the graphic come up and we got the whole crowd to chant, "Roast your congressperson." So, 200 people strong. That was a cool moment. And then the jokes were fun. And it was the end of the show. So I was like, oh, we landed the plane. It felt good. Yeah, it was really great.
That's great. Do you have a thing that you are most excited just as attending here? Are you catching any panels that you are super stoked about?
We went to the Andor panel.
Yeah.
That was very fun.
Yes.
See Tony and Bo talk about stuff. And then I really liked that. And then it's so funny because did the show, decompress from the show, get up, do this. I'm like, I'm probably going to take a nap. I'm going to take a nap for some of this stuff.
There's so much stuff that I wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There are like just tons and tons of good stuff here.
And I'm going to go to the Bill Lawrence thing because Ashley Nicole Black and I started together in Chicago. So we've been friends for a long time. So I'll go see her thing and woo when they say her name. And say, "What's I doing? What's I doing?"
Yeah.
And thank you both so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate
It was
your time
really
this
a pleasure.
morning.
Yeah.
We're on day 3 of the fest. I think we all got some breakfast. I could definitely use another cup of coffee.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
Like my
thank
energy
you.
is low, and I'm sorry.
Oh,
No, it was great talking to you. Yeah.
It's very Terry Gross.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hi.
I'm Derry Merbles.
Yeah. Hi, I'm here with,
Thoughts on your thoughts.
Go Knicks.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.